Welcome back to each other's soulmate, everyone. What is going on here? There are two broads. There are three. This is the coolest day ever. We're multiplying. I love that. We're multiplying by the second. But hello, welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. We are each other's soulmate. We are a Sex in the City broadcast. We are two, now three broads talking about our four favorite broads in New York City. So yes, we have the lovely Althea on for our first guest spot. This is so awesome. We are super excited. We were just talking about how theoretically we're like, oh my God, what if we ever got co-hosts? And I can't believe this would happen. And it's happening. It's happening. So I know Althea through comedy. We're both comics in the San Antonio comic scene. And yeah, that's how we met. She's awesome. She's hilarious. And so we're super excited to get her on because you are a fan of the show and you brought that up to me and I was like, hell yeah, we're getting you on. So yeah, here we are. I had her pick an episode and it was this one. And so here we are. Yeah, with that, let's get right into the episode and let's get to talking about it.
Hell yeah. So this episode is called The Man, the Myth, the Viagra.
Hell yeah.
Very distinct title we got going on. And we start out this episode with Carrie and Mr. Big. They are at an Italian restaurant and they are on a date, and it's you can tell they're like in that like kind of honeymoon stage at the beginning of a relationship.
Oh yeah.
Where like everything that person does is adorable, even like getting on stage and singing really badly to you. It's like you still got like hearts in your eyes and stuff.
Totally.
And Mr. Big actually goes out of his way and introduces Carrie to the people in this restaurant as his girlfriend, which is the first time he's ever done.
Shocking.
Like, holy shit. Like, she's usually like going for breadcrumbs, and now he's like, here's my girlfriend. And she's just really stunned. She's like, you've never called me that before. And he's like, sure I have, just not to your face.
Which is so disrespectful.
I feel that. I was like,
absolutely.
Why wasn't that a discussion? Like,
it's just this whole, it's just Big being a big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had a partner do that to me before. They just like started introducing people like in front of me as their partner, and I was like,
but without ever having the discussion.
Yeah, it's just like, I was so young at the time. I was like, cool. But as the old, like, growing up, I'm like, that's kind of weird.
It's rude. It's rude. It's rude. It's rude that there's no, like, communication and what are we? It's like the theme of this entire show so far is, what are we? What is this? Is this a relationship? Are we going at this again? Is this official? We were just saying that at last episode. You know, what is official? Well, this is exclusivity. This is being official. Rude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Big is always like that with Carrie. He's always disempowering. I can't stand it.
Exactly. It drives us nuts. It drives us all insane.
And I mean, it's driving us insane, but she's eating that shit up with a fucking spoon. She even
truthfully
said, perfect. I felt like I was in heaven.
I felt like I was in heaven. The bar is in hell. The bar is in hell. Like back then and still today, the bar is in hell.
Yeah. God. Like that in the first episode, it's like throwing food to the starving.
Yeah. Yes. It's crazy.
Oh my gosh. But that's that. We get to the next scene and we have Miranda on a date at the comedy club. Which
this is like
fun over to y'all because y'all are the experts on this scene. Like,
it's so cool. I did not realize that this was the episode that lined up with like the stand-up episode. And like I've talked about it before, they're like, oh, isn't there like a comedy scene in Sex and the City? I'm like, yes, there is. It's actually hilarious. So I didn't realize it was this one. And I was like, how fitting. Like that's so serendipitous. But yeah, and it's funny. So like Miranda is here with her date and this guy's getting laughs. So, and like, they're just sitting there also being very bitter. And they're just like, when's the comedy gonna start? I'm like, this guy is like cracking everyone up. So I don't know if you guys are just being bitter or you're trying to look cool in front of your date. But like, this guy is apparently, you know, getting some laughs in. But yeah, so it's just really cool.
I have seen that expression on people's faces before, often in comedy clubs,
Oh,
where you can tell
100%.
they're like Miranda and her date. They're just like, oh my God.
Like, make me laugh. Like,
no, but not even that. I've legitimately heard. So like sitting before the show starts, I have heard people going like, "Oh, we just came here to like make fun of them. Oh, we don't even really like comedy. We're just here." And I'm just like, "Go somewhere else. Go somewhere else. Like you don't have to sit at this fucking bar to listen to comedy. You can go to another one that's not doing comedy if you want to hear yourselves talk." You know?
Like just like being miserable and wanting other people to be miserable. Y'all are literally here trying to make people laugh. Like,
but I think that's the whole thing. I think that's kind of the whole thing, right? Is like there are some people who want misery and they don't want to see people happy. And I think there's people who out there, like people who like heckle legitimately, like people, you know, and I'm just like, or it's funny to me. I'm like, especially if it's like a ticketed show, if you're paying to watch comedy and you're heckling, like you're wasting your money. Like this is insanity. So anyway, but yeah, so they're being kind of bitter in this scene, and I see this guy seems like it's funny is like I didn't really pick out what he's saying before. He does say like one notable punchline in this. But yeah, well, let me see. I'm like, we wrote it down. Oh yeah, but it's funny, I forgot to mention this. Carrie notates, she goes, "Hey, well, Miranda was in hell, or its modern day equivalent, the comedy club." And truthfully, it can feel that way sometimes being on the other side of the stage. So It's just funny to me. I'm like, okay, you guys are being so rude. What do you mean? Stand-up's hell? It kind of is sometimes for us. But yeah, and so apparently she met the guy, his name's Alan. She met him at the grocery store. Apparently sharing a hatred of designer croutons, like sounds like first world problems to me. Like that is an insane thing to bond over.
It also sounds like they just kind of are just bonding over being bitter.
Being bitter? Yeah, exactly.
I guess if that works for you, you know.
Right? But yeah, so comics going on, and the one punchline you do kind of hear is he goes, "If I was interested in freshness, I'd be fucking my salad crisper," which isn't terrible, not terrible, kind of funny. So, and then Alan leaves to go to the bathroom. His phone goes off. Miranda's sitting there by herself, and this comic demands Miranda to answer the phone, and he got real aggressive with it.
He did. He got really aggressive. And what's weird is that like cell phones were not that widespread back then in 1999. So like this was like a new thing happening in comedy clubs. Phones going people would flip out, But I was shocked that he had a phone.
Yeah, that's true, because we don't see a whole lot of it yet. Yeah, he is obviously making some money. But yeah, this comic got pissed. He was like, "Why don't you answer your fucking phone?" I was like, well, you know what? I'm going to... Well, actually, we do kind of get aggressive sometimes on stage. I would agree. I've seen it. But and so he gets the audience to chant, "Answer it, answer it, answer it." And she's like, "It's not my phone." Yeah, fucking peer pressure. She's like, "It's not my phone." But she ends up picking it up. And she's like, "Alan," I think his name's Miller, "Alan Miller's phone." And she's like, "Who's this?" This is his date. And she goes silent. And the comic's like, "Uh-oh, who is it?" Grabs the phone, takes it to the stage. And then he's like, "Who is this?" And then he's like, "Oh, his wife." And everyone erupts in laughter and oh my God. And Miranda's mortified. Alan comes back from the bathroom and he's like, "Hey buddy, your wife's on the phone." And yeah, big old ruckus. If this happened to me, I don't know, I kind of want this to happen to me. That's hilarious. But but something actually, it's funny. A similar situation actually did happen that I physically witnessed, not being on stage, but I was in the audience, where it was a crowd work show. And one of the comics was like, they were talking to a couple in the front about texting each other. He's like, well, don't like, she was like kind of heckling quite a bit. And so he was like, "All right, you want to talk shit? Let me see your phone." it's something about like texting or whatever, that they were texting each other. And so she's like, okay, fine. And so she hands the phone over, and he's sitting there, or he's standing there legitimately reading the topics of the text conversation. And it's something along the lines of like, I think I'm going to like drain your balls after this. Like it got pretty, it was pretty explicit. And the fact that I was watching this in real time, I was just thinking about this scene. I was like, not the exact same thing, but similar. But it's just funny how like this was at the station a couple months ago. Yeah, they were doing a crowd work show, and this couple in front, this chick was being, I mean, super loud, super annoying. Like it was crowd work, but like it just wasn't, it, you know, it didn't feel like fun interactive. It was kind of like annoying interactive, you know? But yeah, and he was like, oh, let me call you on your bluff. You want to be all like, you know, talking about this and talking about yourself? Like, let me call your ass out. So it happened. I brought it up to the comic, and he's like, oh, that's so funny. And I was like, that happens in Sex and the City. I can't wait to talk about it. And here we are. So, but yeah, so something similar happens. Okay, so then Alan comes back. He's mortified. Miranda's pissed off. And she's like, I thought you said you were divorced. And he's like, well, I'm not really divorced, but I am really separated. And she's like, no, we're really separated. This is me separating. And she takes off and leaves. And if you, in the like passing scene, he picks up the phone and he's all like, honey. I'm like, bitch, who's honey? I thought you were separated. So that is what happens at the hell of the comedy club. And honestly though, comedy shows and clubs are very unpredictable. Like you truthfully never know what's going to happen at them. It is always a gamble when you're up there or even in the audience. So, but yeah.
Can you imagine something like that happened while you were on stage?
I want it to. I want it to, because I want to go viral. I want to like get some viral clip, right? Like some crazy shit happening like that. Come on. I'm like, that's like instant viralness. Maybe.
Do you do crowd work?
Me? Yeah, a little bit. I was always told like when I first started, they're like crowd works for like if you gotta be a little comfortable. They're like, you need to be a little comfortable before you start interacting. And so I never thought I would kind of do it, but I actually started to get more comfortable with interacting. Like I started to see that I was able to open up with my material better if I kind of involved people. And not so much like, oh, hey, what do you do? Like, it's not so much that, but it's like a crowd and, engagement. I'm like, oh, who here does this? And like typically people clap or whatever. So it's that kind of like, that engages the whole audience. That's something I've been working on specifically in, 4 months in. And it's something that I actually found to really help. And so that's something that I'm trying to like do more. But I have talked to couples or talked to people, and I was like, I never thought I'd be capable of doing that on stage, but like it works and I'm learning. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
Do you do crowd work, Althea?
I need to do it more. I've been a little timid. Somebody told me the same thing up front, but when I'm a little more relaxed, and sometimes I'll throw questions out, like Bella's saying, to the audience, but I haven't really had like back and forth yet.
Like
as
a
much.
situation.
The banter, yeah.
Yeah. Man,
yeah.
It'd be wild. You gotta like really think on your feet to be able to do something like that. Because
you do.
I can say.
Yeah, you do. It can be scary. And like, because I'll get a lot of like, if I throw a question out to the audience, sometimes I'll get nothing. And then I'll have to be like, nope, no one. And then I'll have to think of something like quick. Like I remember just recently, I was like, oh, who here's taking a BDSM test? And it was crickets. And I was like,
oh my God,
no
really?
one? And so I was like, okay, so all of y'all are like plain vanilla motherfuckers. And then of course people started laughing at that, and then I was like, okay, here we go. But it's so funny how sometimes that kind of silence creates something bigger, and then it creates the momentum for your next like bit. And I was like, that, it's those kind of things. It's what can you do in the lull of comedy? And learning all that stuff. And it's only, you can only do it on stage, like there's no practice. Yeah. There's no nothing. You got to do it up there. It's wild. It's different every time. So
that's so cool.
Yeah. The hell of comedy clubs.
The hell of clubs. And girl, the next day at friggin' lunch, Miranda goes off about how bad that date was. She says something that I don't know, it's like really sad. She's like, he's such a liar, and I believed him. Like, am I stupid? Am I that stupid? And it's like, you can't beat yourself up for believing something somebody told you, you know?
Yeah. Well, because she's
lying to your face.
Yeah, because she mentions, like, he said, oh, I said, how long have you been divorced? He goes, 3 years. Like, no hesitation. 3 years. Gave her the answer. And then so she, of course, how are you supposed to not believe that and go off of that if you've asked the question, you know? Yeah. Guys can be fucking liars. Women too, but men especially sometimes.
People can be liars. And you know, Samantha's like, they are liars, and 97% of them can't even fuck you worth a damn.
97% is a wild percentage. To be honest, as I watched this, I did my own percentage. So I went through my list of people, and I was like, what was worthy? And for me, it was 25%. 25%.
Yeah. 20%.
Yeah, see? So, but Samantha obviously has a more notable pool than I do. But yeah, for me, it was about 25%.
Wait, 25% can't or 25% can?
25% can. So that means 75% can't fuck you worth a damn in my book.
Yeah, I'm like 75, 80% can't fuck you. There
we go. Yeah. So, Tina, what's yours?
Good, like 50-50 on my part.
50-50. All right. Love that. But yeah. And if you guys are interested in sharing your percentages, why not throw them in the comments?
Yeah. I'm like, how many people can fuck worth a damn? Like, I feel
in
like
your experience,
you know?
Yeah.
It's just, you know, fucking you worth a damn is an interesting, like, does that mean like to completion?
Like, or just like, no, it's good. Like, it's good.
It's good.
It's like, pleasurable. It's
you got that like connection with it.
Yeah, like I would do this again. For me, that's a good judge of like sexual encounters. Is like, would I want to do that again? Yes or no? You know, I feel like that's a good like deciding factor.
Not necessarily like an orgasm.
No, I don't define sex by an orgasm ever. Yeah.
And then we have Charlotte talking about an urban relationship myth. So she's talking about how, you know, like what if he really did like you and he just so happened to be married? And it's the whole relationship myth of the married man leaves his wife for the woman he actually loves. You know how we talk about don't let your boyfriend stop you from meeting your husband?
From finding your husband.
Like, right here.
But we're talking like someone in an actual marriage, not just boyfriend and girlfriend. Man, the fact that you're even entertaining a married man is wild. Like, that's crazy talk. I mean, I understand it happens, right? Things happen, affairs happen, but like people meet people. It happens. It happens.
My pressure is rising right now. I'm just kidding.
Sorry, I forget you're married.
Yeah, I know. It's a crazy thought. It's like, it's such a crazy thought to like.
It is.
Devote your life to somebody and then like throw it to the wind for something else. Like, what could be worth that?
Yeah, I do a lot of married men on the dating apps. And I think that's because I'm trans. And so it's like kind of a different category. Like, they're not looking at me as a potential person to leave their wife for. They're looking for me as like, you know,
a fantasy or like an adventure.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. Which is so unfortunate. It's sad. I'd be like, oh, fuck yourself, dude. How about you just go fuck yourself? How about you go fuck your wife? Like,
that's exactly what I say. Yeah. I had one guy actually tell me, he's like, yeah, do you want to hook up? You know, I'm really pissed off at my wife right now, and she's back at the hotel, and I just want to get back at her. I'm like, fuck you, no way. So,
oh my God.
Where do people find the fucking audacity?
Men have it. They're born with it. Men are born with the audacity.
You born? Oh my
How rude.
God.
I swear.
But I just find it crazy that, like, in this scenario, Charlotte's like, well, a married man could leave his wife for another woman. She's like, it happened to my friend Amanda's friend or whatever.
My friend Amanda's friend, yeah.
And it's like, are you serious? Dude? Like, you're advocating for that? Like, I don't know. She's so, like, love is eternal. That's so kind of crazy for me to hear from her.
Yeah, because if it was her husband, she wouldn't be barking the same shit.
No, she would not be. Exactly. But I think she's saying that because she could be the one that the husband leaves the wife for.
But didn't we talk about this in one of the first episodes? We were saying like how that married people see single people as a threat, and it's like, yeah, that's the epitome of what's happening. And Charlotte's over here being like, well, I'm single. I mean, if it happens, it happens. Like, no, bitch.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
It shows if you can commit. Like,
the Delulu station of them all. Delulu station number 1. Ugh.
But they just start talking about, like relationship myths, like two people break up and they go their separate ways, and then one day the woman is walking home in the rain. It has to be in the rain. And the guy comes in and proposes to her. It's like a relationship myth. These things don't actually happen, but they are kind of like fed as like old wives' tales to be able to kind of like, I don't know, like, what do you think that's for? Like, to entice people to want this? To like, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's the hopefulness of I think it's just to instill the hope of it, because because I'm still a hopeless romantic, surprisingly. Like, after everything, like, I still believe that I don't know actually anymore. I don't know if there's one person who would devote their life to me anymore, but I do think that it's potentially possible. I guess that's where I stand right now. But when I was younger, I used to think that. I used to think, oh, there's someone out there who's just fit for you and you're going to die together like in The Notebook, and I think, what? Let me have my moment. But I do think there's because love is real. Love is real. It's not made up. It's not magic. It's not a fantasy. Love is real. And there are examples of it. And I think that the examples are what keep us going to obtain it. As painful as love can be, there is there could be a goodness to it too. It's worth the pain. It's worth the hurt. And I think that's what is kind of what keeps it going. And that's why we have stories like that,
I can see it.
Yeah.
I feel like it's not necessarily just one person. It's like maybe because we have billions of people on the planet. That would be really bad odds. So maybe it's like 100,000 people.
Love that.
It's like a small fraction that's left after like the billion. I feel that.
Oh God.
Man. Oh, and then the last relationship myth that we talk about in this scene is relationships that magically change overnight. So I personally have never ended a relationship and then come back to that same person and began again. But I can imagine that like can be kind of difficult. It's like, will this be the same? Will it not be the same? And the scenario we're talking about, like when you go and do that and it magically is completely different. None of the problems that you faced before are afflicting you again.
That's impossible.
Possible?
No, that's impossible. Unless you guys just decided to like shove it under the rug or like, have a blind eye to it. But the problems don't go away at all. I've done it. I've been in a relationship where I went back to someone after years. The problems were still there. And let me tell you, we're not together anymore, but the problems are still there. So I don't think it was a problem in the relationship. I think it was a problem with the person. And yeah.
That's interesting. Well,
so
that's kind of the theme for this episode, though, is like, what is what is like fact and fiction within a relationship, what is a myth and what is actually possible.
Right.
And she talks about how, you know, ancient Greeks used mythology to explain the randomness of things that happened around them, you know, such as weather phenomena and whatnot. Do we also use these myths to cope with the reality of trying to maneuver through the world of relationships?
I think we do that to like ease shit for sure. I think we romanticize a shit ton of stuff, not just in relationships, but in life. I think we always try and find the romantic value to perpetuate whatever bullshit you have going on. But that's what we do as humans, right? Because otherwise we'd be insufferable, even though a lot of people already are. But I do think we have to do that to give ourselves some level of like humanity and keep it going. Like I always try and romanticize my own delusions to this very day, you know, because in some hopefulness I feel like, well, maybe it'll work, or maybe it'll do this, you know. And I feel like our brains as humans, we have to.
Yeah, I could see that. I feel like you gain a lot when you like kind of like leave once you know you're ready to leave, and just kind of like wait until that, like, if you can get the closure, it's better, right?
Oh, for sure. But like, how often do you actually get like solidified closure in relationships?
Yeah, true.
It's hard.
True.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
I love Charlotte in this scene, though. Like, I mean, I disagree with her, but the expression on her face is so funny, especially when Carrie jumps in and talks about her relationship. And Charlotte's just got this big beaming smile on her face.
Like, see, Carrie did it, so it's true.
She's always the optimist in these scenarios. And, you know, later on in the series, I mean, we'll get there and stuff too. I mean, no spoilers, but she was always the one holding out for Carrie and Big. She always will be. Like, that's just who Charlotte is. And we see that time and time. And we see that like starting now, obviously in the beginning of the show. But she's the biggest advocate. I don't think it's just essentially for them, but it's just for like love and for making things work. And so, yeah, she does get very like giddy and girl-like, you know, when things seem to be working out in everyone's favor.
Well, she knows how much Carrie loves him. So I think she really wants to see that come to...
Of course. Don't we all?
Yeah. So next scene, we have Samantha at a bar. She took herself out for a drink after work. And, you know, she's sitting at the bar, and behind her is... I don't even want to say his name. Honestly... Yeah.
You want me to say it?
Yeah.
Donald Trump is in the background, all right? Everyone's like, he's in the background. This was what, 99? This was pre-politics, everything.
This might have been before The Apprentice, right?
This was before The Apprentice. This was before The Apprentice. So it's kind of crazy how here we are, him being like an ex-president and now also running for office again currently. It's kind of wild that this is happening. But he's back there. He's sitting at a table with another older man. They're discussing business. You know, obviously Samantha's drawn to Donald Trump because at the time he's this wealthy, powerful man. I'm not going to say attractive because not once ever in Donald Trump's life has he ever been attractive. Let's be real. Yeah, so I don't know what Samantha's thinking there, but
no, but they even say it's like Samantha, cosmopolitan, and Donald Trump. You don't get more New York than that. I think for the time.
It makes sense.
Yeah. But, you know, he leaves, and the older man that was having drinks with him comes up to Samantha, and, you know, I don't know if everybody realizes this, but there was a running joke about Trump not being able to pay his bills even back then.
Oh, yeah.
his opening line, this older man's opening line to Samantha was, "I was so distracted with your beauty that I agreed to fund Mr. Trump's new project. You owe me $1.5 million." Like, he was not gonna pony up. And that's how he like hits on her. And she's just like kind of going with it, but she's like not into it, but not into it. I can tell she like appreciates the attention, because this dude is like older. He's a senior citizen. And he hits on her, and he's like, "Can I buy you a drink?" And she's like, "I already have one." And he's like, "Can I buy you an island?"
She's like, "Can you?" And honestly, that would be my response too. I'd be like, "Hey, you know what? Can you?" Because I'm so tired of working right now. Let's be real. I'm so tired. So I'd be like, absolutely. That's never happened to me. I've never actually gotten hit on by like an older man. It's never happened. But you know what? I'm in the wrong places. I'm in the wrong places. I'm going to shitty little fucking bars on the Strip. I should be going to J Prime.
That's probably where you should go. Yeah. I got hit on in Southtown by a man who was about the age of. But to be fair, I'm a little bit older than well, about Samantha's age. Let's just say I'm Samantha's age adjacent.
Okay, that's fair.
We started chatting. He bought me a drink, and I didn't quite realize he was hitting on me yet. And then, but he was talking about like stuff he'd done in his past. I'm like, "So do you think of yourself as kind of young at heart still? Like, how do you think of yourself?" He's like, "Well, I'm hitting on you, aren't I?" I was like, "Oh, okay, wow."
I love that.
I know.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, get it, dude.
I know.
But then he kind of wanted me to go hang out at his like in a swimming pool with him that night, and I had other plans. And then he seemed sort of cold after that. So, but no, it was nice at first. Yeah, it was weird. It was definitely an experience.
Yeah.
And I was trying to think in my head, is he too old or not? Like he was okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Why have age limits? Except for younger. Like, younger is where I draw the line. But, like, older, I don't think I have one. Oh, I mean, which we're going to end up talking about, actually. But,
right.
But, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And, he's like, "Can I buy you an island?" And they go off, and, like, he's like, "How long?" Or he's like, "Do you come here often?" His, like, dating moves are, like, ancient. He's like, "How often do you come here often?" She's like, that line is older than you are." He's like, "You're a pistol. I like you."
Which is,
he's like fiery.
And that expression is so old too. Saying like to refer to someone, "Oh, you're a pistol." Like, okay, you sound like my grandfather when you say shit like that.
Oh my god, but I kind of love it. Like, it's, I don't know, it's fun.
Yeah.
And they talk, and Samantha finds out he is very single, and he is a millionaire many, many times over.
Damn straight.
Damn straight, Samantha, you go. And we go over to the next scene where Samantha tells Carrie about what happened. And she kind of vaguely brings it up. She's like, "What's your age ceiling with men?" I like that. Like, what is the oldest you're willing to date? And Carrie's like, 50. And Samantha's like, "Factor in millions and millions of dollars." She's like, "I don't know, 50? And they go back and forth, but Samantha admits like he's like 72, but a young 72.
I love that what she says though. She's like, "Sweetie, is he on Medicare?"
Oh, yeah.
I looked it up. That actor's only 64 at the time that they filmed this. I feel so bad for him because he had to stay 8 years older, and everyone's talking about how old he looks, but he's only 64. He died last April.
What?
Really? Yeah. Oh my goodness. Damn it. He could have been on the podcast.
This episode is dedicated to him.
This episode is dedicated to that guy. We'll get his name on here.
Put a picture on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Carrie just is quiet. And Samantha's like, your silence reeks of ageism.
I love that line. She's like, fuck you, dude. Let me have my moment.
Let me just have this. And, you know, he's vibrant and powerful and generous, which honestly is like a perfect match for her.
Truthfully, yeah, like when it comes to Samantha, you would think like, yeah, it's not typically physically what she's into, but like what she needs is like just as a partner or as an interest, like that's what she needs.
I think specifically that he loves her fieriness is what I like.
Hell yeah. You gotta yeah, I get it. You gotta appreciate that.
Yeah, and then it kind of like begs the question of like, don't all cats look the same in the dark?
That's what Samantha says.
So,
but honestly, yeah, I mean,
if you're with the phrase, it basically means like you can still have sex with them and you won't notice all the flaws that you're fixating on. Like all cats look the same in the dark,
especially if the lights are off.
Yeah, so it's like she could get it on with him because it's like, is she gonna do this? And it would probably be just for like 10 to 12 years tops. Like it wouldn't be a lifetime, especially if he's like 2. But that's like it's still 10 to 12 years tops. You gotta do some work for that millions and millions.
Hell yeah. And I'm down if anyone is offering this is I got a good 10 to 12 years. Yeah, like let's go. I want to go to Cabo. I want to go everywhere. I want to go to Turkey. I want to go to freaking where's that one place?
Trump. It's off the table.
No.
I'm sorry.
No. Plus he's married.
But like that stops him.
Oh my gosh.
Legitimately.
No, for real.
Oh god.
But we go to the next scene and we have Carrie and Mr. Big. They are cooking dinner at Mr. Big's apartment. And we have them making veal. I'll be honest.
It's a big ass cut of veal. It's like huge.
Yeah. And there's a scene in this, or a shot in this scene that's very famous on, it was huge on like Tumblr.
Tumblr? Oh, it was massive on Tumblr.
Yeah. And the scene is they're sitting on an island and he's cooking, so his hands are all like, messy from the food. And she leans over and hands him the cigarette for him to take a drag out of it while he's
Never wanted to romanticize cigarettes more in my life.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful shot though, and like on Tumblr it was always in black and white and it was like a gif and you're just like, oh, and you longed for the day that you were going to do that in a man's apartment, but that doesn't happen because men don't have their own apartments now. Women do.
So it's the fact that the men don't have the apartments, not the fact that people don't smoke cigarettes in the apartments anymore.
Didn't even think about that one.
The only time I've ever smoked a cigarette inside was at a smoking hotel room.
I don't think I've ever smoked a cigarette inside anywhere.
Really? I know in certain places, like when I went to Vegas, you could smoke indoors.
I went to Vegas, but I was with my aunt who refused to let me smoke cigarettes around her, even though I was 25 years old. She was like, "You're not doing that in front of me." I'm like,
"He loves you,
lady." But to be fair, I was like, I need to go to Walgreens. I need cigarettes. And she like wouldn't let me go. And so in the casinos, they sell cigarettes, but they sell cigarettes at like a fraction of a carton. You probably get like 3 or 4, and they're legitimately like $25 for like 4 cigarettes. And I was like, I remember the girl came up to me with the little cart. And she came up to me and I was at my first drink. Actually, I was drinking Cosmos. And she goes, "Hey, do you want some?" And I was like, "How much?" She's like, $25. I said, "I'm not near drunk enough to spend that much money on 4 cigarettes right now." I was like, "Come back around after a couple of drinks." And she did. But then my aunt was like, "We're leaving."
You tried.
Shot me down. I told her when I went to Vegas with her, I said, I want to do one thing, and that's wear little pink high heels with fluffy pink high heels and smoke a cigarette in a casino. She didn't let me do it.
Abuse.
So we have to go back
Hell yeah.
to fulfill my fantasy.
Hell yeah. Oh my gosh. And speaking of fantasy, Carrie, oh my gosh. Okay, so this is like kind of hard to watch. She is like, can I ask you the biggest favor in the whole wide world? Oh my goodness, it is such a big favor. It's just, she's begging in a cute way already, and she hasn't even asked for the favor, but basically she tells him, like, I want you to have dinner with my friends. Like, I want you to get to know my friends more, which I think is really important because, you know, we've kind of talked about this. There is little to no mention or introduction of the families of these 4 women in this entire. They really kind of embody the whole, like, you know, you find your family. So, like, for Carrie, it's not just like, come meet my friends. It's like, come meet my family. You know? And, you know, so it's a huge deal to her. And she's kind of like, you don't have to, please. Yeah. And he's like, well, I know your friend's fine. You know, Charlotte is the brunette, Miranda's the redhead, and Samantha is trouble.
That's cute. I thought it was cute.
I get sensitive because I'm like, I feel like they pick on Samantha a lot, and I just feel like,
do.
You know, it could have just been like, you know, Charlotte the brunette, Miranda the redhead, and Samantha the blonde. But no, Samantha's trouble.
Samantha is trouble, though, in a good way.
I don't think they mean in a good way. But, you know, she tells him, we're all going to go have dinner at Denial. And the restaurant's called Denial.
How fitting.
Exactly. It's like everybody wants to be in denial. And while they're, you know, sitting there, they're having this very romantic meal together. You know, obviously they've been there for a while. They're going to be there all night. They're cooking this big dinner. And Carrie gets a call. And it's Miranda, the redhead. And she's calling a bar. Come to find out, Carrie stood her up to go to this dinner. So, for a little bit of context, you know, back in this point in time, Carrie says, I left you a message on your machine. So Carrie called Miranda's house, and the voicemail machine picked up the voicemail. She did not call Miranda's cell phone, which I thought was kind of odd.
I just realized that because
I thought the same thing.
Yeah. And so it's almost like she
she dodged it like purposefully.
Yeah.
That bitch.
Yeah.
God.
Oh my God, seriously. And so, you know, Carrie's just like, oh, like, you know, or Miranda's like, are you okay? Like, I was worried about you. You were supposed to be here forever ago. And Carrie's like, well, I left you a message on your machine. Didn't you get it? And Miranda's like, no, I wasn't home. I was here. And
yeah, she was probably on her way to the freaking bar.
Literally. So not only did she call like that, but she called at the last second. And, you know, Miranda's like, you were supposed to be here having dinner with me. Like, what the fuck? And Carrie's just like, well, he got this deal. Like, and she's like, you blew me off for a piece of politically incorrect meat. And it's like, don't be that friend, dude. Do not be that friend. Please don't be that friend that, like, did your friends for a dude like that. That's just so not. Or, like, anybody. Don't. So
or at least give proper, like, notice. At least just be like, hey, this got sprung up. I really want to do this. I'm so sorry. Let's please reschedule. Like, how hard is it to say that, you know?
Yeah. But she doesn't. So Miranda's just like, your relationship honestly hasn't changed. You know, you say that things are magically different, but look at you right now, dropping your life again to go be with this man in his world and doing the things that he wants to do.
Yep.
I love when Miranda, like, fucking makes Carrie eat shit. Dude, like, she says it to her face, and I think that, like, everybody needs that friend to let you being a fucking cunt, dude.
Yeah, here's the reality check is, like, not only are you being a shitty friend, but you're enabling this man who doesn't seem to really give a shit about your life.
No, seriously. And it's like, not only is this all happening, but like Miranda's getting pissed on the phone with Carrie. Carrie is, you know, in the room with Mr. Big, and she's just like, oh, I can't really get into that right now. And she's like, can you put on the phone? As you know, she's being like, she's not letting it be known to Mr. Big that there's even a problem.
Yeah, and she's not showing any kind of remorse, you know, to her friend. And it's just kind of like, okay, like, how fucked up. And like, how could she not even mention that? Like, that would be like, if my dude was all like, hey, come over for dinner, blah, 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 blah. I'd be like, I had plans with so-and-so.
Yeah.
You know, that'd be like one of the first things is like, oh, well, I had plans with so-and-so. Could we do this, whatever? Like, so that means she didn't even mention that she had other plans. She didn't even say anything about that. She literally, as Miranda said, just ran to him. You know, that's so fucked up.
It's very Carrie, though. I feel like the second time through watching this, she's so selfish all the time.
Yeah, we agree.
We will see.
She can be so insufferable sometimes, and we're just like, oh.
Like, I love the show.
I know we do. I mean, obviously we love the show so much, but my goodness, can Carrie be like, there's a TikTok, I think we talked about it the other day, when they're like, oh, and it's this guy like making fun of Carrie, and it's like, so I talked to Mr. Big again, and then they're like, oh my God, girl. they're like again, you know, like, it's just, we're all in this whole insufferable boat with her sinking slowly.
No, seriously. And, you know, Mr. Big is like, is there a problem? She's like, no. And goes on with her night.
Which is insanity. She obviously doesn't want to break the mood there, so.
Yeah. And, you know, Miranda hangs up the phone, and she is just like, she's like, I'll have another glass of wine to the bartender at the bar that she's at. And he's just, he goes quietly, he goes and gets the bottle. He goes up to her table with the bottle. He's like, please. And she's like, excuse me? And he's like, I'll have another glass of wine, please. She's honestly, I don't know if I've mentioned this here before. I know I've told you. I would be so just like, these women are awful to service workers. And if I was a service worker dealing with these, I would not like them. I would not. Because she's allowed to talk to me like that. Like
a human being.
Over here with her freaking red, bright ass Karen haircut. And, you know, she's being, yeah, like, ew.
So I don't know if this plays in the whole like New Yorker trope though, because I have seen people talk about living in New York and how like the exchanges are very dry and very aggressive. Like when you go, like they say that, like they're like ordering in a bodega. They're like, you don't go up there and say, can I please have this? Can I please? They're like, no, you go up there and you say, I want a bacon, egg, and cheese on a bagel with ketchup. And they're like, and that's the way that people will respect you there. And I was just like, I guess I'm from the South. I can't do that. I'm gonna panic. I'm gonna say, please, yes, no, ma'am, yes, ma'am. Like I'll get nervous. So, but apparently manners really aren't a thing up there from what I've seen or heard. And that's, everyone says like when they do come to the South, that's the biggest thing they notice is the way we speak to each other and the way we like have decency for the population, you know. So I don't know if that's I don't know if that plays into that, you know.
No, so. Definitely. Well, yeah, no, and yeah, no, and he says thank you for her too. He says thank you, Steve, and he introduces himself at that point. This is Steve. If you've watched the show in any capacity, you know who Steve is.
I hate Steve. I just have to say it. I hate Steve. I hate him so much.
Like boiling inside of you. It was like
he's so passive aggressive. He's so annoying. You can see it right away. I don't want to spoil anything. I'm just going to say in this episode, there are all the reasons I hate Steve.
This is so funny. Oh God. No, I mean, yeah. I don't know. At this point in time, I don't really have a full opinion on Steve yet at this point in time. However, like with all the future knowledge, I can't say like I feel bad for him, but I feel like it's essentially like a placeholder relationship. You know, it's not, and there is some foreshadowing actually in a second here for like the rest of the series and everything, and it's just kind of like, you know, in the way it seems like the way that he was thrown in her life is, it seems like a fantasy. It seems very like, you know, the banter is good and whatever, but like, is that enough? And I feel like that's what's kind of being brought on as we introduce him. So
no.
I agree.
And you know, he's kind of just like calling her out for being honestly a bitch to him, because she really is, you know. And
that part, yeah, I agree with. Yeah,
at this
I mean, I agree with like with that
part. And he's like, she's like, I just got in a fight with somebody. He's like, who? A boyfriend? And then he says, girlfriend.
Which I thought was interesting when I was rewatching it. I was like, oh? Because we allude to that so many times. The vibes are there. Thank you. We say that all the time. We're like, oh, come on.
No, seriously. The minute she said, like, she was on a no sex spell, and she's like, if it doesn't happen soon, I'm humping one of you. I was like, somebody give this girl a flag. Like, God. Seriously, but no.
Right now.
It's, yeah, he makes her laugh because he's like, were you on the phone with your butcher? And she's like, my butcher? And he's like, you were yelling about veal.
The veal.
Yeah. And so she smiles and she's like, what are you reading? And he's like, The Joy of Bartending by Hemingway.
To be fair, I would fold. I would fold immediately if someone made that joke, specifically as someone who loves to read and someone who loves American literature and someone who loves bartenders. I would fold. I would immediately be like, first of all, you sling drink and you read? Done deal. But she said that. She's like, so you're funny.
Yeah. And he like convinces her to stay longer by getting her a glass of wine. And she's like, what is this? And he's like, a bribe to hang out with me longer. You know?
Because he's like, I'm going to have to listen to the NYU kids talk about Fiona Apple.
If you don't stay. So he's like, please. And they end up hooking up, and he doesn't just give her one. He gives her 2 orgasms the first time they ever hook up.
Dude, that's honestly so impressive.
Yeah.
That is honestly so impressive. And for Miranda to be as cold as she's about to be is wild. Because if a man gave me 2 orgasms the first night we hooked up, you can bet your ass I would not be rude. I wouldn't be like, time's up, buddy. I'd be like, what are you doing next Thursday?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she's really cold. Like, he's like, that was really special. And she's like, yeah, great fuck. There's your shirt over there. And she's like ushering him out, kind of pushing him. And he's like trying to get her number. And she's like, why? Like, this is just a one night stand. And I feel like, you know, yeah, the chemistry was there. Yeah, he made her come twice. It wasn't there for her.
I was just about to say that.
It wasn't there for her.
It obviously shows that she, as nice as the interaction was, whatever, it just shows Miranda does not want this guy. She just
wasn't interested. You know, and honestly, it's not the first time that like she like gets with like a attractive guy and it's just like not into it, and that's okay. Like,
because you're not supposed to click with everyone, you know.
It just doesn't work sometimes, you know, and that's fine. So next scene, we have Ed and Samantha back at his place. I don't know if I mentioned this before. Ed is the name of the older gentleman that is courting Samantha, the 72-year-old with the young soul, a very young 72. And they're at dinner at his townhouse. So just to kind of like reference, you know, Manhattan is a very expensive place to be. An apartment is crazy expensive, let alone an entire townhouse. That is like a huge flex on wealth, just like right there.
Yeah.
And not only does he have a townhouse in Manhattan, he has, I guess, a maid. Is that what you? Yeah, he has a maid. She's like in uniform and everything.
Yeah.
And they're having dinner, and it's all of this fine china, this like grand several course dinner. And as Samantha like opens up her napkin, out falls a diamond bracelet. And you know, as she's like opening the stuff of the meal, she finds all these like little pieces of jewelry that are. Can you imagine how much money those things were worth?
Yeah, I can. It's probably like 12 to 20,000 for the amount of diamonds on there, for sure. Yeah, so she unfolds what? A bracelet first.
Yeah.
And then Ed throws out his napkin, and then there's earrings.
Yeah.
And then he gestures to the like dish cover, and so she picks it up, and then there's the matching earrings. So in totality, that's probably like 50, I would say like 50, around 50 grand. Like 50 to 75, probably for the amount of diamonds on there. And you would imagine that the clarity on those are like incredible. So yeah.
I can't even imagine. And the whole time Samantha's just like, she's loving it.
She should, as I would be too.
Yeah.
I would immediately take my clothes off at the dinner table. Are you kidding? I said, you're about to, guess what? I'm going to model this for you right now. And I'm just going to be wearing the diamonds because diamonds are a girl's best friend. And I love Marilyn Monroe. So.
Oh, no, seriously. And Ed, you know, they have their dinner, and then they go and sit on the couch afterwards to have a drink together. And Ed is just like, I'm going to lay all my cards on the table. You know, he's like, you're a beautiful young woman, and you could be with any young man you want to be, and I'm willing to make it worth your while. So she's getting the offer.
That is a fantastic. First of all, just the communication alone is hot. Like that communication alone would have me drooling. Like that's all I ever crave from a man, is just to be like, hey, I want to be with you. I want to hang out with you in all ways, shape, and form, blah, blah, blah. Like, pants off. Like, that's all I need. That's all I need is some reassurance.
That's it, you know? And honestly, it just kind of sucks. Like, I do kind of wish they were, like, the age gap wasn't so bad with them, because I think they could have been something. But, no, he's like, I got a pocket full of Viagra, and he is ready to use it. And if that ain't, you know, an enticing proposition, I don't know what is.
Honestly, that sounds so fun, because like I've never been with a guy who had to use Viagra or used it for fun, but it sounds like it would be quite enjoyable. You know,
the right stop, right?
Yeah, because it's like it's a guaranteed flow. You know?
Oh, okay. Get some for recreational use.
Honestly, I'm kind of about it. Let's see. I'm a nurse. I'll figure it out. Just kidding.
Well, they start to hook up. You know, I guess this whole thing has been working so far, and they're hooking up in the dark. Samantha's
I was about to say, lights are off.
She's like, turn the lights off, and he does, and she notes how, you know, it really is kind of true what they say. His lips were not the lips of an older man. His touch was not the touch of an older man. And as she's thinking that, he gets up. He's like, I have to go to the restroom. I'll be right back. And he gets up and walks away. And we see he does have the ass of an older man.
Yeah, I have two thoughts on this.
Okay.
First of all, don't you think someone worth that much money would probably like work out and do core strengthening exercises and squats and things so he'd have a better ass? But secondly, I don't think that's the same actor. I think they used a stunt. Like, I watched that scene several times. They cut to it. You can see the way they cut it. And the actor's younger. Like, that is not the ass of someone that's the ass of somebody in their 80s or 90s.
Okay, to be fair, I'm 28. My ass looks like that. Dude, I am the letter P 100%. I am all tits, no ass. So let's
Brought to you by the letter P.
This episode was brought to you by the letter P. But no, I mean, I get, but okay, I totally understand that also. But my thing is too, if you have that much money, you don't need to be that attractive.
Yeah.
There is that also. There is that, hey, I'm a multi-millionaire.
Plus,
I don't really need to have an ass.
Diamonds. Like, leave my ass alone.
Yeah. No, but truthfully, I appreciate a man's ass. Let's be real. Every now, you got a dump truck on you. It's nice. It's nice. It's enjoyable. But I don't need it. I don't require it. That's not something I need on a man. You can have the flattest ass in the world. I'd still want you. No, because I'd be a hypocrite. I'd be a hypocrite. I'd be such a fucking hypocrite. And they'd be like, well, what about you? I'd be like, listen, homie, I haven't done squats in 8 years, so.
Oh my god.
I'm trying, okay? I'm trying to get it back up again. I had an injury.
But nah, dude, like, his ass scared her away. She got up out of that townhouse.
She flew out of there.
She just, like, grabbed her shit and took off. And it was funny, too, because a little, like, detail is that the maid was already waiting by the door.
Yeah.
Stuff in her hands, like, ready.
So this has happened before,
and she was waiting for it. And oh my god, that shit is so funny. I actually forgot to double check. Did she keep the stuff that he gave her?
Because she was wearing it. I don't know. Yeah, I hope so. I don't know. We'll have to double check. I think no. I think she leaves with it on. I think we're watching it again. I just watched it right now, so I think she has it on. So
good. As long as she didn't look empty-handed. But we go to the next scene, and Miranda's at her apartment. You know, Miranda bought her own fucking apartment, and she's just out there enjoying it. You know,
hell yeah.
And you know, they say fate came knocking to her door, and it's Steve. And we have, and he's like coming in. He rings her bell, and he's like, "Who is it?" He's like, "It's Steve." And she's like, "Steve who?" And he reminds her. He's like, "I'm the bartender you slept with." She's
like 2 days ago.
Yeah. Did you forget something? And he's just like, "I want your number. I really like you." And Miranda's like incredibly hesitant. She's just like, we don't even have anything in common. Like, he's like, we slept together. And
yeah,
it's just.
But she also, like, my thing is here too, there is nothing wrong with not being attracted to someone, but she's also not even giving him the time of day to even see if she does like him in that capacity. No. Because I'm like,
you kind of just know sometimes, right? If it just doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard people say things like you can grow to like someone. You can grow to be attracted to someone. I haven't.
Well, okay, I can see that because like my husband, for instance, I knew him for 5 years before we ever started dating.
Yeah.
So that is true.
See, so if you try, but there has to be some kind of something. Yeah,
like I always thought he was cute. We just never lined up like that. But she's like if he had asked me out years before that, back when we first, I would have said yes.
Really?
Yeah, I would have. He actually did ask me out. He hit on me. I didn't realize it. It completely went over my head.
I'll always remember the time I was mean to him. Before they ever started dating, he came up to us and he was like, "Do either one of you, was it a cigarette or a lighter?" Yeah. And I was like, "No." So mean. So mean for no reason.
No, none.
Sorry.
I love you.
He's forgiven me. Maybe.
I know, you look disturbing, so you're good.
Yeah.
But no, seriously though, but like if he had asked me out before, I would have said yes. The timing just never happened. Steve is actively pursuing her and she is dodging advances, you know?
Yeah.
And it just like, okay. For the 90s, I don't personally think Steve is like all that hot. I don't think he's like leading man hot or anything. But for the sake of like the show, he's an attractive man. He's an attractive bartender who's probably used to being able to sleep with the women who come in. You know, obviously he's very smooth. He knows how to like talk to. And part of me was really curious, like, did he just like see her as a conquest? Like, she was so difficult and being so rude. He was like, I bet I can get her.
Probably.
You know? And all of this resistance is like what is enticing him more. It's like, no, I'm going to get that. And it's almost like a parallel to what Carrie's experiencing with Mr. Big. But
yeah, I can see that.
Miranda, who's the big, rich, you know, person. And, you know, so, I don't know.
I can see that.
Thought. But Steve asks Miranda if she wants to do anything that night, and she's like, no, I'm busy. And he's like, quick, tell me what you're doing before you can make anything up. She's like, I'm meeting my friends at Denial for dinner. And he's like, oh, my buddy works there. Kitty. He's like, my buddy works there. I can meet you there. What time are you guys going? And she says 7. And then he starts to leave and he turns around. He's like, what time are you actually leaving or getting there? And she's like, 9. This bitch literally didn't even give him the right time.
And how rude, because he would have shown up at 7.
Yeah, but that's the point. That's what she wanted.
Yeah. She could have just, I mean, because she could have always been more assertive. She could have been like, hey, I don't want to hang out with you. You know,
Isn't she though?
Yeah.
She literally said, like, there's your shirt, great fuck, you know, okay, bye.
Yeah, I guess I can see why. I can see, definitely, I agree with your thought on, like, is this just a conquest? Because it's true. So I think some men, just as some women see men as when they say no, it means try harder. And I'm like, sometimes no means no. Almost all times no means no. But, you know, because some people do play hard to get. Some people do. Some people I think like the chase, or they like the or they're trying to figure out, is this real? What is this? You know, but it seems like Miranda's not doing that. She's just very like, no. So, yeah. but hold on. The scene at the bar when she was like, oh, like the whole Hemingway thing. She's like, so what? You're funny too. She threw a little smile in there. There was obviously a spark enough for her to bring him back.
Yeah. But
so that's all we got.
That's all we got, though. And so that night is the night that everybody's meeting at Denial, which is the same dinner that Carrie asked Mr. Big to go to meet her friends. So that night, Carrie goes to Mr. Big's apartment to meet him before the show. And
these kitties on the loose. I have this one knocking over my shit right here, too. Kitties on the loose.
And so Carrie gets to Mr. Big's apartment, and it is time to get ready for the dinner. And she opens the door, and he's there in his underwear and a big shirt. And
yeah, like, it's time to go. It's not even time to get ready. Like, she opens the door, and he's like, all cash.
Can take off, but no. And Mr. Big is like, is it okay if I don't go? You know, I had a long day at work and stuff. And Carrie's so obviously distraught. She's so sad. She's like, sure, I guess.
Yeah.
She says in her internal monologue, you know, I was afraid if I looked into his eyes, I'd turn to stone.
Just throwing the mythology there, you know.
Yeah. And she leaves and she's walking to Denial alone and she's pissed, dude. She's like, I've never even heard of a relationship myth where a 40-year-old man suddenly didn't just care about himself. Like, just like, yeah. So she's upset. She's big upset.
Mm-hmm.
And we get to Denial and we are there with the 4 broads and Steve. And Charlotte
and
is
Steve.
I like saying Steve, like the way that they say it.
Yeah.
It's me, Steve. Oh, sorry. I'll stop. But yeah, now they get there and they're all having to wait at the bar because they're not going to seat them at the restaurant until the entire party is there. So basically, everybody's waiting on Mr. Big. Like, that is just what they're doing. And Charlotte is, you know, asking about it, and Carrie doesn't want to admit that he's not coming just yet. So she's like, oh, he's like tied up at work. I don't know. But Steve is there, and not only is Steve there and on time, he's interacting with her friends. He is going and getting them drinks. You know, he's being like, he's basically being the friend that Mr. Big should be being right now.
Yeah, exactly. And he's known Miranda for like 2 days.
He's doing the bare minimum, right?
Yeah.
What you should expect.
He's doing the fucking minimum. And she didn't even want him there. You know?
Oh.
Oh. And he's just like, you know, they say thank you because he grabbed in the drinks, and he's like, well, if you want good service, you know, go send a bartender. And Miranda's like, and if you want a good fuck, go home with one.
How rude.
Mm-hmm.
That is so disrespectful.
No, seriously, like, you know, I can't imagine being Steve right here. Like, I know. And stuff. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, because imagine being in those shoes. I'd be like, like what? Like, especially like if the shoe was on the other foot, chaos would ensue. You know? Yeah. Because my God, if you talk to someone's, you know, about my friend like that, or just anyone, I'd be like, whoa, like what the fuck? And like, and she wasn't being, it'd be one thing if she was playful with it too, because let's be real, I've done that. I've talked up my dude. I'm all like, yeah, we going home later, you know, like shit, like, you know, playful stuff like that. But no, she made it sound like it was derogatory.
Yeah. And
I'm just like, you got 2 orgasms and you're being really fucking bitter. No, seriously.
Like, oh, yeah. And the silence after that is like really
deafening.
Like you could like cut with a knife into the tension in that moment. And Steve is rightfully just like, Miranda, let me talk to you in private. Like, you know, you just fucking disrespected the shit out of me. And he asks her in private, you know, why do you hate men so much? Like, why do you hate guys so much? Because we just met, so I know this isn't just all about me.
Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of here like, is it men that she doesn't like, or is it you?
Well, I feel like she could have been a tad bit nicer. I do feel like there was a very strong, like, resilience and, like, I mean, kind of like, okay, yeah, get the fuck out of here. And, like, I've been there, but I've been there after knowing someone for a while. I didn't just do that off the bat, you know, like, it, you know, when it was just sex with this person, like, I'm like, he knew, I'm like, there is no questions. This is all you are, buddy, you know? But like when I'm like, if you're just getting to know someone, like that level of like, kind of just like being really cut and nasty, like, okay, you're like, okay, we had a good thing. We slept together. That was fun. Nice meeting you, you know, like, I don't know. But because there is this like because Miranda is always like the pessimist. You know, there is always this weird sense of like bitterness and like, you know, she's just like that sometimes. And I feel like that's what's coming through. It almost feels like that trope of like a nice guy comes along and now I'm a dick to him, you know, because it does kind of feel that way. I can see the other hand though, if she's just like, I'm just really not into this guy, but I can see this whole like, you know, this bitterness coming from someone who's genuinely into her, and she's just like, ew, no, you know. And I'm like, you're getting what you've wanted. You're like, it's being brought to you on a platter.
But I mean, okay, not so far in the show, but in the show in general, she does kind of have a history of like throwing the towel when they seem to be too into her.
That is true, but that means, and we said it not that long ago. I was like, oh my God, I just realized Miranda is emotionally unavailable.
She is.
That's the like point blank. Like you realize she's over here trying to date and stuff. I'm like, you know, you don't want to date. You want to have sex, but you don't want to date.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Which is, you know,
which is fine, but like, you don't have to be a dickhole in the process.
Yeah, seriously.
You know, you can be a little more respectful with your casual sex. And she says that at the table when she gets up to go talk to Steve. She said, the gods are punishing me for wanting to have casual sex. That's what she says. And I'm like, but no, you gotta be nice. Be a little nice.
Yeah.
Rude.
Ma'am, you're like bullying this man.
Exactly. I'm like, let's be real, some men are into that. But
I think it is, personally. I do think that this mean, like, rich lady came in and didn't want anything to do with him. And he's like, oh, bet.
Yeah, he likes the banter. Who wouldn't, though?
Spicy, right? Get some heat in there. And, yeah, no, so Steve, he's like, why do you hate guys so much? And she's like, maybe I've just slept with enough men at this point to like know that there's nothing here. And he's like, can you for one moment believe that maybe I'm telling the truth? Maybe there really was something special between us, and I'm, trying to reach out to you on that. And she's like, no, maybe I've just slept with too many bartenders. Because honestly, it does kind of sound like a line, He's like, but I like you. And it's like, bro, really? Like, I don't know. I feel like when you've been kind of like dicked around a lot, it's hard to recognize when somebody's being sincere in that regard.
I agree, and I struggle with that now. Very much so. I have a very hard time believing men's sincerity, unfortunately. Yeah. But I'm working through that, and I'm not being a dick in the process. I'm really trying to be like, am I getting played so hard right now, or is this real? And that's hard. It's hard to maintain a boundary with yourself and like letting someone in too. It's rough. It's rough. So.
Oh yeah, it really is, like, because when you open up and let people in, and then they hurt you, it's really hard to relax into that again. I think that's like the best way I can put it. It's like there's a certain level of like relaxed you have to be around a person for that intimacy to flow, and once you've been struck, it's really hard to do that again.
Totally agree.
It's about people, just like in general, like as someone who's like, whether it's men or women, just like trusting again. And like, I said, like, are you playing me? Are you sincere? Because it hurt a lot before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. It's hard. What's your angle? Yeah. What's your deal?
Yeah.
I'm trying to be better now as someone who's single, like to be upfront with my intentions too, because I wasn't so much when I was younger. I was just kind of like, I want this guy to like me, and now is where I'm at in my life now. I'm like, I don't have the time for it. I don't. If I'm interested in casual sex, I will let you know. But if I'm not, like, I will tell you. Like, that's why, like, I said it before on the podcast, and then someone even brought it up to me. They're like, oh, I knew that you weren't into me because on the podcast you said, oh, you'd know if you were into me. And it's true. I will make it. You will know if I like you. It is so insanely apparent to where it's annoying.
It is so cute though. Like, I've known her since we were like fucking kids. So like, I literally watch it play out in her body language and everything. And I was like, I'll like watch the dude be clueless, and I'm like, you're really fucking clueless, dude. Like, look at her. She like does her hair and everything. It's like, it's really cute. Like,
I know.
Be known.
Yes,
you don't fuck around.
Yeah, and I'm better at being verbal about that too. I used to just kind of like want to like drop hints and stuff, and I'm just like, no, I like you. I don't want it to just be sex. That's that. What do you want, buddy? You know, and then now
buddy.
Yeah, I've been using buddy a lot. I didn't realize that one. But yeah, I'm just kind of like, what the fuck do you want? You know, because I'm like, I just be upfront. Like, my biggest thing is like, just be honest. Like, if you want to have sex with other people, go have sex with other people. If you don't, you don't.
Yeah.
So simple as that. I don't know why that can't be a more like cut paste scenario in this day and age, but unfortunately that's a struggle.
Yeah, it's hard to be honest.
Yeah.
But upon seeing Steve leave, she kind of gives up the charade. She's like, okay, I guess we should just get a table for the 4 of us. And Miranda comes in heavy. She's like, see, I knew he wasn't coming. Like, men are shit. And Charlotte's like, no, like, she said he was gonna come. And she's like, see, there he is. And then I just can't fucking handle this next moment. They play this like ethereal music where it's like fucking like a flute or something, and it's watching him come in, and I'm like, we are literally having this ethereal music like fading into the scene of him doing the bare fucking minimum. He's
showing up.
He said he was gonna show up too. And they're acting like he did this courageous, beautiful act of love and service. And I just...
We're all fucking pissed.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's bullshit.
It's bullshit.
The look on Carrie's face, though, is like, it's like seeing a kid on Christmas. And I'm just like, Carrie.
Like, please love yourself, ma'am.
Truthfully, it's hard seeing this unravel. Some of this, like we mentioned before, disclaimer, like, this is cringe. So much of this is cringeworthy in their relationship.
It is.
Charlotte. She's so happy.
She's so cute. And Big shows up for her, and seeing Mr. Big show up for her entices Miranda and shakes up her whole belief system. Watching this man do the bare minimum is making her realize maybe men aren't complete and total shit. I don't know.
I mean, okay, look, in the moment, think about it.
You know what? I feel like you connect with this scene much better than I do, so please, like...
because I'm going to put myself in the shoes, because if that happened to me and I did see something like that, I would take that as a sign. I'd be like, let me have it. Let me have it.
Shit.
Huh?
I'm like, I ain't saying shit.
But, because like in my brain right now, you know, there's all that like delusion, there's all this questioning, there's all this so much shit going on in there. If I saw something like that, I'd be like, oh, maybe there is hope.
Oh.
I don't know. Theoretically, I don't really know. But I can see in the moment for the girls and for Miranda why, you know, it's the energy's so high about her and Steve right now. Like, that was an intense kind of conversation for her. She doesn't typically have like emotional conversations with her partners either. This is the first time you actually kind of see her emotionally like opening up. So that's never. Never. This is why this is pivotal. You know, it's because it's introducing the relationship. But, you know, like, she's starting to she has nothing but walls, and like you see a little bit of that coming down. And I think that's why.
And I guess there is something to be said about, like, you know, when you have those walls for so long, it is hard to take them back down.
You're telling me, buddy.
So I'll give her buddy.
Buddy.
So Miranda is the stereotype herself. She runs out into the rain because she is obviously the man in this situation, I guess, you know, because that's what usually happens, right? The man runs after the woman.
Right.
But yeah, no, she runs after him and she's like, maybe I can believe. And then they kiss.
Okay, as much as I'm not a fan of Steve, I'm always a fan of A Kiss in the Rain. Like,
See?
so romantic, I have to say.
It is. I love that. I mean, who doesn't love an iconic kind of like romance scene, you know, and like, and that chance of believing that there's someone or believing the potential of a great love story, you know, because all love stories don't have to end in like happily ever after. You can still have a relationship or a partnership that brings so much goodness and so much value to your life that that's also enjoyable too, you know. So and when you have a glimpse of that or some hope of it, it's nice, you know. And I think we kind of see that here. I saw whiskers. That's so cute. Oh god. But yeah, and like who doesn't love that? You know, they embrace, maybe I can believe it. It's all rain and they're just making out, and honestly, love. I haven't had a kiss in the rain since like high school.
Have you ever kissed in the rain, Althea?
It's been a while.
Yeah, I don't know. Sure. I don't know. I don't think I've ever actually done that.
I mean, I may have kissed in the rain, but not like a dramatic kiss.
Dramatic.
That's the goal by the end of this year. We need a dramatic kiss in the rain.
I agree.
Let's record it. We'll put it on the podcast.
Hell yeah.
I'll be like, hold on, let me record this.
I gotta go live real quick.
So funny. But yeah, no, they kiss. And okay, side note, if you are a fan of fashion from this era, I love how thick Miranda's waist belt is. That was like a huge this era was like really thick waist belts. It's like a foot long. Like it's such a huge waist. I don't know. I love her outfit. Side note,
she looks real like sleek in the scene. I do like that outfit.
And we go back to the restaurant with the girls, and it's Mr. Big with Carrie, Samantha, and Charlotte. And they're interacting and hanging out just like Carrie really, really wanted. And they're like, he's making them laugh, which is like awesome. Like when the person you're dating makes your family laugh, like that is such a like.
Yeah, that's a definite good sign. So.
Yeah, definitely a green flag right there. And Mr. Big asks Samantha, so, did you ever get it on with that old coot? And everybody laughs but Samantha. She's just like,
yeah, Charlotte, if you didn't notice, she's holding back laughing. She's like, she doesn't laugh. She's like smiles and kind of looks at Samantha like, uh-oh.
But Carrie says that was the night that they stopped being a myth and they became something real.
That was the night. That's what did it for you, that he showed up to dinner?
To a dinner that you gave him advance notice on and tried to bail out but ended up not bailing out on.
Honestly, I've taken far less. I have accepted far less in my life.
I've accepted so much less. I mean, like, he's into me.
Yeah. Oh, the bar's in hell.
It really is. And then below that, too.
And below that sometimes. But yeah.
Everything in this episode is Big's fault. Like, if one is not a Steve fan, say hypothetically, it's worth noting that it's all Big's fault because Miranda never would have met Steve if Carrie hadn't stood her up for Veal at Big's place. And then she never would have had a change of heart and run out into the rain if not for Big doing the bare minimum after not showing up. So, like, everything is Big's fault.
It really is, huh?
You want to see the crazy parallel of, like, I don't want to spoil anything, but in the movies, essentially Miranda kind of,
it was Steve's fault.
It was Steve's fault for the
Or
crumble. Yeah, now that we're seeing a lot of foreshadowing and kind of like flipping as we're going through this, which is crazy. So even earlier, I forgot to mention that they said it shook Miranda to her core, and later on when we're referring to Miranda and Steve's relationship, she does mention saying something like, well, he's not a core shaker.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so it's kind of weird how we start noticing these little tiny like drips of like foreshadowing and stuff and parallels that like we would have probably never noticed if we weren't talking about this so, intensely.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, that's so true. Like you don't even realize it until you analyze it,
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Damn. I guess we're already done with the episode, huh?
That was the episode, yeah. As pivotal as it is, that was a lot. Like it's a big episode. When I was rewatching it, I was like, "This is a lot going on here." So
yeah,
but it's pretty direct.
A big storyline, except what was Charlotte's storyline?
She didn't have one.
Okay, yeah, she was like a side character in this one, right?
Yeah, because she just kind of shows up for the dinner. She was the hopeful optimism throughout the episode, for sure. So as always, really, but yeah, she doesn't really have anything going on there. Yeah, I mean the main focus is Miranda and Carrie and Samantha. So yeah, they're like, hey, back off, Charlotte. Just be a little sunshiny optimist over there. Oh, look, here we are. I love it. Mama does the same thing. She's been running around over here. So, but yeah, that's the end of the episode. It's a real pivotal one. I am so happy that you joined us for this one. It was like perfect. This was awesome. I hope you enjoyed it just as much as we did. This was really fun.
Thank you for inviting me. I was honored to be part of it. It was so much fun.
Yay! I'm so glad. You're first. This is I love it. I love it. I'm so excited. But yeah, this is great. I couldn't have asked for a better guest spot. Like this is awesome. So but yeah, thank you again for being on and talking about this crazy show with us and giving us your awesome inputs. So
seriously, some really great perspectives.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the coolest part, because we're always wanting engagement, right? Like from the people who listen, and that's like why we wanted this too. I'm like, we want to hear what you guys think too. So like having the live like interaction is great. Like this is everything we could have ever wanted, so super fun. So but yeah, I would love to have you back in another season or another episode for sure. So if you want to, I would love to do this again. So
I would love to.
Yay! So
yeah.
Yes.
Well, next week we got old dogs, new dicks.
I'm gonna have to blur out another title. There's so many now that are like, I'm like in these next seasons, I'm like, oh, this is so risque. I cannot put this on YouTube.
Like, we'll see what happens, right?
Yeah, but
you get,
so
you get like taken off there.
Yeah, I have to. I'm like, we're not even monetized yet, but like, whatever. I just don't want to risk it.
We are working on shirts.
We're working on shirts. We are working on merch, actually. I keep saying it. I keep freaking forgetting, but I want stickers and stuff to put places. I'm like, I literally do comedy. I'm all throughout the city, and I'm like, how am I not promoting my podcast more locally? So I got to get on that. Been slacking. But yeah, thanks you guys for joining us. And, I'm so excited that you guys are going to see this episode, and this is going to be so good. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to put this one out. Yeah, again, thank you everyone so much. Thank you again, Althea, for being on with us. This was so great. But yeah, so awesome. And we will see you guys next week. So thank you again so much. We will see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.